You'll more than likely have heard about this by now. King Elon has been causing a storm on Twitter again. We created our own connector, as there was no standard back then, and Tesla was the only maker of long-range electric cars. It's one fairly slim connector for both low and high power charging. That said, we are making our supercharger network open to other EVs later this year. People have jumped on this and it's been talked about absolutely everywhere at the moment. We're making our supercharger network open to other EVs later this year. Now, I think that some people are jumping the gun a little bit on this. I'm not sure what it is that gives people 100% absolute faith in anything that Elon Musk says on Twitter. Full self-driving, anyone? Anyone that doesn't currently own a Tesla seems to think they've won the lottery. You'll be able to pull up to any supercharger, anywhere, plug in alongside the until now smug Tesla drivers. Some even think it'll be a cheap option. They'll be undercutting some of the other rapid charging networks. I disagree on both of those points, and we'll get to that shortly. Tesla owners, however, wow. I've long suspected that the supercharger network was a core reason that was driving Tesla sales. After all, the cars themselves, they're good, but they're not exactly market leading now that there's other sort of luxury electric contenders coming from other manufacturers. You buy a Tesla because the charging network is really good and it's easy to let the navigation take you on your route, take you to chargers as you need them, as you drive along. I mean, it's really good. It's second to none at the moment, right? But an absolute storm is brewing among Tesla owners. The amount of people I'm seeing on Twitter and elsewhere saying, oh wow, thanks Tesla, my car will be worth a lot less now, and actually I'll probably buy something else next time. It's crazy. A lot of Tesla owners seem to value the supercharger network very highly, and they're absolutely horrified at the prospect of it opening up to anyone or everyone else. Rightly so, I guess. If you paid a premium for your car and you've been promised this amazing charging network, you don't really want to turn up to find a car charging on it really slowly and blocking a spot. It does seem like a strange move to me. They're going to massively alienate those extremely loyal customer base. I can't think of a more loyal customer base, can you? If this does go ahead in its worst case form, any EV driver pitching up and using any of the hallowed superchargers. But my take on this is, first of all, taking Elon at face value is a dangerous game. Some of his tweets are a little bit questionable, really, aren't they? And the idea of sort of Elon time, right? If you look at the full self-driving, how long ago was that supposed to be ready to go? And how long have people paid for that, expecting it to be available, and it's still not there? So saying, oh, we'll be doing this later this year could be a little bit like some people were saying when GridServe said they'd upgrade the electric highway by the end of the summer. Oh, which summer will that be? I think there's maybe a little bit of that at play here, right? But what is true? Tesla have been in discussions with authorities in Norway about subsidies. They want to expand their network, but they want public money to do it. And the government's been fairly clear about that. We'll only support your efforts if you open up the network. We're not funding a private network for your customers. We want to fund EV charging for everyone. And that might happen. You might see supercharger sites open up to other EVs if they've been funded using public money. Whether that be a single charger on each site that could do any EV and the rest are only for Teslas, or it's all of them and everything opens up. Well, that remains to be seen, and I think that'll be sort of country to country dependent on what the governments push Tesla for and how much government subsidy they want to use in that country. But that's just one example in Norway, of course. They might be under pressure from other governments as well. I'm sure I actually heard about Tesla doing this somewhere in Europe. Might have been Germany, where they had one slow AC charger at every supercharger site to satisfy some kind of requirement that they need to be open to all EVs. And you can say, well, we are open because any EV can use that charger. A token gesture to satisfy a legal requirement. Let me know in the comments if you know the exact detail of what I'm talking about, because I can't remember the specifics, but I'm sure I read something about that a while ago. What I think is a bit more realistic, though, is maybe an Ionity style approach. People complain incessantly about 69 pence per kilowatt hour at Ionity, how heinous it is that they have the cheek to charge so much for electricity. What most fail to quite grasp though is that Ionity charge that much because they don't particularly want you to walk up in your MG or your Peugeot. The network exists to serve its partner manufacturers, the VW, Audi, Porsche, Ford, Kia, and there's a few others. If you subscribe through one of those manufacturers, because they're a part of the Ionity program and they're one of the founding members, they'll charge you as little as 25 pence per kilowatt hour as long as you've got the right subscription. And that huge headline price keeps them available for those subscribers. It's a bit pretty expensive, so that, you know, people that don't have access to the subscription might not choose to use them, and they'll be more likely to be free. So that makes it a bit like a private network, like the Supercharger network, but they'll allow the plebs to charge if they're willing to pay for it. Not only that, they can also receive government subsidies for their installations because it's public charging. It's open to all. The fact it's super expensive doesn't really feature. It's a stroke of genius, really, when you think about it. And to reiterate, they couldn't care less whether you think 69 pence is too expensive, because that's not the goal. Tesla could do that as well, couldn't they? Cheap charging for their customers, still free for some of the old models that got free supercharging for life, chargeable for most at a reasonable rate, kind of like it is now, and then hideously expensive for anybody else. 69p or more. Maybe they could even raise the bar and have people thinking that Ionity is cheap because Tesla's £1 per kilowatt hour. Who knows? What do you think of that approach? Would you then resort to your usual, oh my God, I'm not paying that for a charge? Or would the convenience and the availability rule supreme? Let me know what you think in the comments. I would be amazed if what we saw in the end was a free-for-all on the Supercharger network. The same price as a Tesla to use, every charger available, and you could rock up with your car that can only charge at 50 kilowatt or less and block the charger from a Tesla that can do, you know what, 250, 300, and sit there for ages, pissing everybody off that's paid a huge premium for the car. I think that would be hugely damaging to the Tesla brand, and I think it would be commercial suicide. The ownership experience would definitely suffer, and I think a lot of those angry tweets would filter down to lost sales. People would choose to buy something else, to drive something else, because the appeal of Tesla would go away. Now, there is a lot of talk about whether this is actually technically feasible. A lot of people saying that, you know, mostly scared Tesla owners saying that they don't think you'd actually be able to plug in any EV and it would work. Well, GridServe and Fastned have both demonstrated auto charge for any CCS EV, where as long as you're pre-registered, you can just plug in and charge. It'll recognise your car, it'll synchronise it with the user account that you have. Tesla could do this as well, right? They just need to make it possible to register for an account if you don't own a Tesla. And then when you try to charge your off-brand EV, it recognises you've got an account and it lets you charge. I don't think there's a technical problem there at all. And a company like Tesla probably already have that done behind the scenes, right? And it would just be a case of making it available. I definitely don't see that as a technical challenge. Cable lengths might be a problem though. The Supercharger tombstones are definitely designed for cars with a charging port where a Tesla has one on the rear quarter. And it might be a tight squeeze for other EVs with ports in silly places. Looking at you, Audi e-tron. I'm not sure how they'll overcome that one. Recabling everything to make the network more congested and less available to Tesla owners doesn't seem like it'd be very high up their priority list. So I think if any technical challenge is going to need to be overcome, it's going to be that one. How do you actually make the cables fit in the other cars that are going to be using them? Let me know what you think on this one. I think it's going to be controversial, and I think it'll definitely cover a wide range of opinions. Do you think Tesla are shooting themselves in the foot? Do you think it's just more incoherent ranting from Elon on Twitter that won't actually come to anything? Are you a non-Tesla owner who can't wait to get some of that sweet Supercharger goodness? Are you putting your Tesla up for sale today and selling your Tesla stock already? Get it in the comments. Let me know. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.